How does the earth keep spinning? Spinning, spinning, spinning. Cosmos. It's an artifact, the leftover of God's first thought.
It's Podpodular. Welcome back, folks. It is episode 41. Today is Thursday, August 7th, and we are here to give a wonderful recap of STS9 shows at the Asheville Yards in Asheville, North Carolina. We've got a special guest who had some boots on the ground here. We got some announcements to cover before that, before we get into some clips. Scotty? How are we doing today?
Doing good, brother. Just pumped to recap these Asheville shows. If anybody's doing the YouTube thing, you'll see I've got a tired boy on my shoulder. He started screaming.
Is JR a guest? Was he at the show?
He was not our boots on the ground. Soon, but not now. He was, however, screaming his face off as we hit play on this, and I'm the only one here, so the boy's gonna sit in with us for a little while until he gets sleepy again.
That's all right. He can hang out. But before we get into our announcements, we're gonna bring our guest right in as our recurring guest, friend of the podcast, STS9 mashup king, Mr. Daniel McNatt. You know him as DJ McNice. Daniel, how you doing tonight?
Hey, feeling good. Appreciate y'all having me on, fellas.
Of course, absolutely. Guys, before we get to Asheville, man, we had recorded the episode last week before this announcement, but having STS9 announce New Year's, a three night New Year's run in your hometown, there is something about that. Aren't you guys happy for me? Like, we've been waiting so fucking long for this, and people in Chicago are so happy. I could have brought a damn tear to my eye when I saw the announcement, but New Year's Eve in Chicago, long overdue. Your guys' thoughts?
I'm excited for you, brother. I don't think I'm gonna be there, and so my excitement is limited to be vicariously through the people that I love most in Chicago. And as somebody who has lived in Atlanta and in Denver for 99% of my life.
Yeah, let me have this one. Yeah,
you can have it, and that's fair. I've gone through my let's get it out the way so it can be back in Atlanta or Denver next year. I'm past that. I'm pumped for you. This is gonna be great. They fucking murder Chicago and they murder New Year's runs, and so I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm excited for you.
good. Daniel, got anything for me?
Well, as I just came out of a home state, home show throwdown. Certainly pumped for those that call Chicago home because you get all the Sound Tribe homies that come with you, but then sometimes you get just some homies that maybe it's their first time or they haven't seen them in 10, 15 plus years, and you get to reintroduce them. And so yeah, there's just that extra element that makes it real special when you got that hometown show.
That is certainly a great element of a hometown show. I'm sure my sister will be there, which is fucking awesome. And yeah, get some people who haven't seen them in a while, or yeah, like you said, Daniel, it's Scotty's favorite thing to do is taking someone to their first show. Love that. Yeah, from our point of view, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard it. there are a lot of Sound Tribe fans in Chicago, and we've been talking about Chicago New Year's for a very long time. So yeah, the feeling is that day I felt like I accomplished something. It felt really good, and I haven't been to this venue yet, but other friend of the podcast, Jim Shepard, other recurring guest, went there for a show a few weeks ago, and he texted me and said it's a really dope setup. Newer venue, or it used to be a very old theater and has just been remodeled in the last 5 years or so and reopened. So it's going to be really awesome. 3 nights, December 29th, 30th, 31st at the Ramova Theater in Chicago. Heard some rumors about support. It sounds like it's going to be pretty cool, but nothing announced yet. But the run titled Year Infinity, which I think is a pretty cool way to title a New Year's run, figuring we're going into a New Year's celebration and everything like
For
that.
sure,
So
for sure.
super pumped about it, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about it in the next few months. But tickets are on sale. Go ahead and grab them. I think you can get a 3-day pass for like 160, 170 bucks through the pre-sale
Nice.
right now. So it's a really solid deal. But we are excited, and the Chicago Sound Tribe Sound Tribe crew always comes through thick, so we are very pumped for it. But
Big.
Scotty, you had another announcement before we get into Asheville.
Yes. So, as a lot of you guys know that listen to this show, there was an incident that happened at Resonate this year. Super unfortunate one where a member of the community, Kenna Pock, got assaulted at an STS9 show and during Resonate. We last time we talked about it, I think we were drawing attention to the GoFundMe. She has since had her surgery. She is since out of the hospital, and she is in the part of this case where it is being prosecuted. She is looking for witnesses. So that's why we're bringing it up today. If you saw that happen, you saw that dude punch her in the face. We will we'll include the proper people to reach out to in the link for this episode. But yeah, she's on the up and up. Obviously, a long road before she's going to be fully healed. But in the meantime, if you were a witness to that, reach out to her. Check out the info at the description of this podcast, and let's just continue to rally around that girl because that shit is really sad.
Absolutely. Continue to take care of our own, and glad to hear that she's out of the hospital and on the up and up. It's really good to hear. But let's get to it, guys. Daniel, you're our boots on the ground here, man. Let's start with the venue, Asheville Yards. This was a first-time played venue for STS9, right? Obviously, the previous venue, unfortunately, was victim to the recent floods. Is this a newer venue overall, or had you seen shows here before?
So this used to be called Rabbit Rabbit.
Okay.
So it is, it's a venue that's downtown. It's been around for a while. I had never actually been to a show at Rabbit Rabbit. I had just sort of like seen it just as a place that people were playing, so I wasn't familiar with it. But it has been rebranded since the storm. I don't know if it changed hands in terms of ownership or exactly what changed, but I do know that they have very recently just started throwing parties as the Asheville Yards. But I mean, it is a parking lot for sure. It is somewhat attached to a brewery, but it is a pretty cool spot. It's got
Stage looked pretty big.
yeah, it's got a cool stage. The sound is pretty good. It's definitely got more of like a vibey security presence than anything that feels really like militaristic or anything, so that's always very nice to have. And yeah, it just felt like overall it was, relatively convenient, kind of all aspects, getting in and out and getting drinks, getting food, getting a good spot. Never felt overcrowded or they weren't really, price gouging for anything. So I thought overall the experience with the venue was actually a very positive one.
Hell yeah. And cool to hear that was downtown. I love Pisgah, right? But getting to Black Rock Mountain or Black Rock, wherever it is, like if you're staying
Black
in
Mountain.
At Black Mountain, yeah. If you're
Yep.
staying in Asheville, can be you either need a designated driver or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So being able to just kind of be downtown, where I'm sure a lot of people are staying near, must have been nice to be in close proximity as well. With some pretty cool openers for this run, right? Beats Antique, Emancipator. Did you catch either of those sets?
Yeah, I caught both of them. I love both of those groups. They're been around forever, been a part of the Sector 9 scene forever. They've been hugely inspiring to me musically, and yeah, just been a huge fan since back when I first started listening to them. It was interesting the way that both of those sets unfolded because the first day Beats Antique, it was just so hot, and there was like not a whole lot to do to get yourself out of the sun, but you could see the crowd was like slightly shifting with the way that like the sun was
The
setting and the
shadow,
shade,
yeah.
yeah, the shadow from the stage. So, but yeah, the folks from Beats Antique, they really showed Sector 9 a lot of love. Zoe like got on the mic out front and was saying that they were really inspired by Sector 9 from back in the days, and just like the performance that they put on and just what they represent as a community still resonates with them. So it was cool for them to just like articulate how much Sector 9 meant to them and still means to them. But yeah, I mean, Beats Antique, they throw it down and just have such a unique sound, and they had a good crowd for it. And then Emancipator was almost the opposite because it was raining for that
Okay.
set, and so folks were also like trying to seek cover a little bit, but there was a good turnout. There were a lot of people out there, and I'd say the majority of the folks were just like, fuck it, let's go. This is Emancipator, we could take a little rain.
I'm gonna enjoy myself.
So
Yep.
yep.
That's awesome,
So
man.
yeah, so the vibes were definitely right, and both of the openers were very well attended. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. No, and that helps with getting a good crowd out and getting a good crowd out early and everything like that. Was it dark when STS 9 started both days, or was there a little bit of daylight left? Okay.
Nah, there was still a pretty good amount of daylight left.
I like that. I like
I do
that.
too. I
Yeah.
do too. There was a little bit of I don't know if I would call it complaining, but discussion on the lounge about the early start time and early end time. And I voiced that I'm a big fan of both of those things.
Well, yeah. Got a good
it's
reason sitting in your lap right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But even before I did, I mean, you played one of the late nights, and I mean, we talked briefly before we came on about how amazing the idea of being home from the late night at 1 a.m. is. I mean, that
Mhm.
just that as a bit of an older version of myself, this weekend sounds like a fucking dream timing wise.
Um, so we had a theme coming into these shows, right? Obviously celebrating 20 years of Artifact, and man, how cool was it having Audio Angel on last week to get us pumped up for that. But before we kind of get into the shows, I'm interested to hear from you, Daniel. What was like your expectation of how this would lay out? Or what
Yeah.
was maybe your prediction?
Yeah. So, I was thinking back to 2017, right? And they did like the Artifact Nights. They had the one at Red Rocks, and then I think it was in Nashville,
Knoxville, yeah.
Knoxville a few months later. Yeah. And, maybe this is just, being like a jaded fan, but I was like really hoping they weren't going to go that route. I mean, it would have been
Right,
special, but like, one night Artifact Night, one night maybe new. So
right.
I was kind of thinking, I think they're going to split it. I think they're going to
Yeah.
do one set Artifact, one set new, one set new, one set Artifact. That was kind of the
Okay.
way I thought it was going to unfold going into it.
Yeah, and you were right on the money. I think me and Scotty kind of came to the agreement that we're gonna see like some interplay between Artifact and some of the Human Dream stuff, which didn't take place. But I think what we got was, I think what we got was better than. I think what we got was like you said, better than like more special or just unique, right? Than the Artifact nights that we got where they're playing the album front to back, right? But there's got be a lot of anticipation when they're about to step on stage, and you're like, okay, what's about to unfold here?
Yeah.
And they come out swinging with our first clip here, so we'll get started. Zach Felmer giving you a quick tour of his snare drums right off the bat. Jesus fucking Christ. So we go ahead, Scotty.
I was just saying it such an old school feeling opener. Obviously, taking us back to that kind of 2005 vibe, and the 20-year younger version of Zach who hasn't aged a fucking minute on stage. You close your eyes and this sounds 2005-y. Just a cool way to open the show. I don't know.
But with that 2025 refinement of sound, cleaner, right? It's coming through crystal clear on his kit here. How'd that get the crowd going there, Daniel?
Oh, it was incredible. I almost felt like they like inverted it, because like you kind of heard them like the Tokyo creeping in and then just straight into the DMB madness was like I was like, hold up, wait, are they flipped this, Like damn.
They've done the Tokyo drum and bass before, and I think they've opened with it like they walked out to the loop, but they've kind of done the original Tokyo first, and then they break into the drum and bass, right? I think this was like the New Year's run at like the last one that was at the Fillmore in the Denver at Denver, I think. This one had some new spice to it for sure. Loungy, Alana just jogging all over a fretboard. Really cool fucking way to start the show, and then just excellent execution of the original portion of Tokyo right after this clip as well, which is just a staple, and one of the biggest singles off the release, right? And right off the bat, now okay, like we're not getting Artifact front to back, right? So
exactly.
what's gonna happen here? But then they give you a little bit of spin back, right? They turn the record back a little bit,
spin the block.
and and they take us back to Better Day, and this was one we've got a lot of stuff to clip out here. This is one we would probably get into if we didn't play the recording of Better Day with Audio Angel and Rena Jones last week, but man, this one was special, right, Daniel?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could tell that this one, like, it just felt like a little more emotional, and you could tell the band was really feeling themselves. And I think I saw somebody had posted a picture, but like Phipps was rocking his sunglasses.
Sunglasses,
dude, he was like,
how dare
really feeling
How
himself.
dare he? The audacity of that man.
No, he was really feeling himself, whether it was the shades or not. I mean, he had his hands in the air during Tokyo. Like I've never seen him animated like that before. Like it was really cool. But yeah, I mean the Better Day. Yeah, I mean obviously, it's just such a special song. But I felt like this version in particular was it definitely hit all the feels.
Yeah, it reminded me of that version from the encore of New Year's Eve from New Orleans, where it's like it just kind of kept going a little bit into that like floaty modular, but then like man, they hit you hard with like Hunter Brown's soaring guitar at the end there. He really shined on this one. And again, it's there's a theme in these first two songs where it's like, okay, we're not just paying tribute to Artifact, we're like kind of putting that 2025 spin on a 20-year-old record, right? Which is really cool to hear. And then they continue down the track list for the third song of Artifact into By the Morning Sun, and another showcase of Hunter Brown on this one. The end of it got super emotional, very powerful, and gets the people moving. So 3 tracks in, the balance of different styles of music that we're hearing is on display, right?
Also, let's just elephant in the room. The manifestation machine strikes again. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, we're not arrogant enough to think that we control any of this, or that they hear us and say, oh, we're gonna do that. But we had Marine on, and then they drop a Marine single. we talk about songs on here all the time, and then they play them the next week, and they play every single Audio Angel song in the same set of this Artifact weekend. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. It's becoming a bit of a pattern.
Yeah, a little bit. And then we get to Possibilities, which on the album is all the way near down. That is the 17th track on the album. So they're jumping around here quite a bit. And we get the drum and bass section. Not so much the drum and bass section we got at Red Rocks in 2017, but it's always good to hear it. And Daniel, I know this is one of your favorites too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know that anything will ever top that Red Rocks version, but this one,
I don't either.
that might be goated. Yeah, but this one, yeah, this one was like a really, really solid version, and
Mhm.
I think that like the crowd was like really going nuts for this one.
Yeah.
So
Right.
there's just there's a couple of like little moments like I could think back to of like just like making eye contact with people in the crowd, and like this was one of those where everybody's just sort of looking around like, yeah, this is like how it's going down this weekend.
Fuck yeah. Well, they've officially got you on your toes because you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like I don't know what's happening here. And it had been a while. This is the first possibility
Atlanta.
since Sweetwater. Yeah.
Mhm.
Where I'm sure it was welcomed there
It
pretty
was.
warmly as well.
We looked around and we were like, damn, we all struggling. I get it.
Then we get into, which I think is the most criminally underplayed song in the STS9 catalog. And you fucking lucky ducks, Daniel. You get your today fucking 5 songs in. How'd it feel?
Oh, it felt amazing.
Yeah.
Just like those like opening notes, like that it's coming, and yeah, it's definitely a very, very special song to see live for sure. And part of me wants them to kind of keep it under wraps like that, so when they do bust it out, it just feels like a little extra special. But yeah, it's a great one.
Oh, I'm Daniel. I got mine today. I don't want him to play it
Yeah.
for anyone else. Fuck off.
Stop gatekeeping this song, motherfucker. All right, how about not once every 2.5 years? I mean, 2 years and 7 months since this song was
Damn.
played.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah. And going into this weekend, I was like, they're gonna fucking hear it today. That was the one thing I was like really FOMOing about. I was like, fuck, they're gonna get it today. And then you get your Bible afterwards. Man, Alana was really strong on this Bible. Not the longest Bible, but very tight, cohesive version of it, which I think that's kind of the theme with a lot of these songs that have not as long of run times, right? But like just the execution of it. And then you're probably thinking about Trinok a little at this point, right, Daniel?
A little.
A lot.
A little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was the time. That was where they could have done it. It's like,
Yep.
I was like, I was a little butthurt after that. I was like, they could have done it, but there's still another show and a half to go. But
Right.
it sort of felt like the ship had sailed on Trinok at that point, in my opinion.
I bet, and we'll
Yeah.
and we'll get back to that, and they will too. But Scotty, I think one of your favorite tracks of the night here finished out the last set in this Peoples, right? How'd you feel about this one?
I mean, another Audio Angel, and just Peoples goes really, really. Peoples is one of those songs that even though, I mean, it's got the Outcast sample, so I guess there is a good reason to say that it's a Southern song, but it
Mhm.
is to me, like it smells like soul food to me. you know so like anytime you're in the South, this some sing, there's just a few that reek of really good fried chicken and like okra, and this one lived up to be to what I would have wanted it to be. It was amazing.
The beginning of it, Daniel. Man, it sounds like Alana's like developing that fret tracks tone, right? at the beginning to almost like silence the haters who are like, man, I missed that like grungy like people's intro or whatever, and like it is getting really gritty. How did that come through live?
Yeah, I think everybody was loving it. Yeah, I mean, it sounded great. Yeah, I think that whatever Lana's doing, it's definitely landing with everybody live for sure.
Fuck yeah.
I think tone switches is something that I was noticing across these boards from obviously from Phipps, who we've been talking about doing it ad nauseum in the last 3 or 4 weeks. But there seems to be a fair amount of experimentation going on with Phipps and Alana right now, and those kind of real subtle tones that I was noticing all over these boards.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've noticed that in like some in the first set with this one. Even like Better Day felt like it had some of that. People's, and yeah, I've got notes for some other stuff, but absolutely.
Yeah, and the second night too, you heard just like different incorporations of like the piano, of like the organ and stuff like that, and just provides a fresh perspective on a lot of these tracks, right? But Scotty, things you talked about things feeling like the South during this Peoples, and I think Zach had something to say about it too.
My goodness, every time I come to the South, I forget how swampy it is. It's fucking hot. It's a lot of sweat. Thank you guys for sweating with us. Thank you guys for being here. We're beyond grateful. It's been 20 years for Artifact. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We enjoyed doing it.
The way he's breathing into the mic.
Thank you guys. Thank them so much. We're not done yet. Give us 1 second. We'll be right back. Thank you guys once again.
Yeah, he's fucking out of breath. Holy shit. Thanks for sweating with us. And I'm sure we had a good sweat going after the, like you said, the temperatures and just the pace of that first set. Right, Daniel?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was a hot one. And yeah, I think that people too, we're kind of looking at the weather report going into this weekend, and like, because it was supposed to rain Friday night too. And I think, people were just there, and like we're just happy that the sun was out and that the shows were happening, because we all know what happened to the last run, so so I just think that it was just like a lot of joy in that crowd coming out of the first set, big time.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean the weather is so unpredictable in Nashville too, where you don't really know what the fuck you're gonna get. But let's talk about the vibe of the people and everything like that. So like set break conversations after the first set, right? We get 7 Artifact songs. What's the discussion? Are some people thinking like, hey, we're gonna get more Artifact in the second set, or we thinking more new stuff, or
yeah, we were definitely having conversations about that, with a bunch of folks, old heads and new, and I think that, I think most folks were like pretty stoked that it was, kind of like an unpredictable flow of the artifacts coming into the first set. And I think most folks were expecting there to be new songs in the second set. At least most of the conversations I was having, like, okay, this makes sense for it to unfold this way. So I think most folks were kind of going into the second set expecting for some newness.
Yeah, and open to it, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Seven
Totally
Artifact songs will get you pretty open-minded going to the second
100%. Yep. I don't think anybody was complaining. I kept on, I'm like, they apparently forgot to play Dry Knock, but other than that, everything was cool.
So Daniel, all right. So my buddy Mills Rogers, seen about 50 shows with him. His parents were in town on Friday and Saturday night, just happened to be on vacation in Asheville, North Carolina. They walk out their hotel room and they see, STS9's playing about 100 yards down the road. Mills loves STS9. We should poke our heads in there. And Mills's parents go to the first set of STS9 on Friday, and then, go about what they had plans afterwards. So their first ever STS9 set, just in the wild, full Artifact set, and then they dipped. They've only seen Artifact songs in 2025. That's it. Then they went to dinner.
That is heady.
Fuck yeah. Well, let's get into that second set. And once again, we do not have to go far for our next clip. Okay. All right. So
I love this so much. I love this so much. Glass and When the Dust Settles Surprise should be its own suite.
well, I think you expect the When the Dust Settles, right? Because
Yeah.
like with the Jeffrey Bongo, like it's kind of the same stuff you get in Glass as you do in the When the Dust Settles original. And I'm pretty sure they've done Glass in the When the Dust Settles a couple of times, but this being the first one into the Reprise, which is something that just keeps growing on me. yeah, it just feels right. And you hear the When the Dust Settles backtrack coming in at the end of that glass. But man, I've talked about Glass reminding me of Aimlessly at certain points. And there have been some big glasses that have kind of stood on the shoulders of a Monster Modular Jam. But this Glass Jam, where it's like just a bunch of empty space where Alana and Hunter can do their thing and just kind of have a conversation. I was really impressed by this short yet mighty glass, and I thought there was a deep pocket on there. So, Daniel, your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything. You know, the the way that just seamlessly goes together, the glass, and you hear that, you know, Dust Settles reprise kind of creeping in there a little bit, like the transition, and you know, the kind of like the that's just the way that they flows between the two is just really nice, and yeah, definitely feels like they belong together.
Scotty, your thoughts on like starting the second set with Glass after that first set?
I think Glass is like a quintessential set list, second set opener rather. Just let's get this fucking party going, kind of a kick the door in STS9 song, if you will. Kick the door in naked, with this Glass and When the Dust Settles. Yeah, no, I think I've said this before, and if I haven't, I'm saying it now. There is a reason that this is the lead single of the album. You said it late last year, Nate. This was probably the most studio ready song that they had in the live catalog of songs that hadn't gotten a studio treatment of it yet. And it is proving that in pretty much any position you put it in with any song that, you know, kind of that shares some similar qualities. Glass kind of goes anywhere.
It is a plug and play for sure. And then we get a little spotlight on some Universe Inside here for the longest track of the weekend for our next clip, which I think this is a Podpodular debut as well, Scotty. I don't know if we clipped this one yet.
Oh. I would like to humbly eat shit before we do anything else, because in our little pre-pod, see, my son just brought me an Alexa. That's what we're dealing with over here. In the pre-pod meeting that we had, I said, and I quote, "The sun, moon, and stars didn't really jump out at me." And I don't know what the fuck I was listening to when I ran through those shows over the last 2 days, but that, sir, is, I mean, that's 2025 for you. A very different modular sounding section than we've heard before. Vips's tones, I mean, that was the first time in a long time that I lost track of who was doing what for a long, long time. Other than Zach, I could not find Alana in that. It sounded like for a while she was kind of rapid firing, plucking, which, I mean, some of the fastest playing I've ever heard her do. Um, Jeffrey's tones in these, just everyone is soaring so high together on this. It take us to the kind of the vibe in the room at this point, Daniel.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is one where I feel like, especially with some of the, Tui songs or the newer songs, are like there's like a version that like it's got to break people through at some point. Like this was it. I was witnessing it happening, like with multiple people around me, and people like coming up to me and be like, "Oh my, I've never felt like Sun, Moon, and Stars about this way about Sun, Moons, and Stars," and like it's just like you could tell that people were having like the aha moment with Sun, Moon, and Stars, like left and right. So like I thought that was very cool to see it like unfolding in real time as people were like, "I get it, holy shit, I can't believe I'm going ham like this." So it was cool to see.
It's almost like you're waiting for the songs to take you to a certain place, right? And like this one takes you there for sure. They've been buffing this one out. They've been shining it out, right? And adding that modular backtrack even through the beginning of it, which I think really fills in the cracks really nicely, and gets you dancing right off the bat. And then they hit you with just like this guttural, tribal, almost Richard Divine sounding modular jam here. But then at the same time, like you said, Scotty, like just soaring guitar at the end, a big, huge ending, an end huge ending there, which, yeah, again, longest song of the weekend here, clocking in at 13 minutes and 24 seconds. And I don't think anyone was complaining about it, right? You said there's conversations being had about this song backstage after the show where the theme of the run is Artifact and Human Dream, and we're sitting here on what was one of the most shit on songs on TUI for a very long time, right?
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, I've never ridden a motorcycle, but I've watched movies about it. And you know when people that ride motorcycles talk about that point where you can't see anything except for directly in front of you, and everything kind of becomes this like formless tunnel. Talk about where that song takes you, dude. It takes you there.
Yeah.
Right in that tunnel right there. That's how
The
that's
Tron tunnel.
yeah, that's how that makes me feel.
They're excited for the upcoming Tron movie, I think.
As am
Might have
I.
been inspired by that.
Well, and one other thing that I'll say too is that this is where the new lighting rig
Okay, that is
really
exactly
Let's get
started.
into it. Let's get into it.
It was right here during Sun, Moon, and Stars where it was like taking everybody to the next level. I mean, yeah.
It's been a polarizing topic of conversation over the last handful of months, right? And that's the next place I wanted to go with this, because by this time the sun is fully down. We're getting to the first modular jam of the of the second set, and yeah, I had seen videos, I had seen pictures where I'm like, holy shit, this looks really fucking good, right? So it's really cool to hear you bring that up proactively. And dude, like the pixel bars in front of them and layered and everything like that. And getting a message from Drew he let us know, hey, they feel like they're in the final iteration or in the final form of this initial setup. After changing it so much, so many times, no more of the carts in front of the band. They've decided to go away from that. So the band is on full display, and with the pixel bars in front, both of the first tier of the band and then of the second tier of the band, like adding so much texture and stuff like that, and almost seemed like a lot of like Tiberius-esque color palettes too, like the reds with the yellows with like the teal green and everything. Um, yeah, we had a lot of people sending us videos, and me and Scotty were both impressed. So glad to hear it came through in person too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I had been there, for the Nashville shows and for DC, and did the Pacific Northwest run. And so I've been able to kind of see the evolution. And this, like, I was turning to people, starting with Sun, Moon, and Stars, and moving forward. I was like, this is the best by far. It is
Right.
clearly dialed in. They've taken the feedback, and it felt like it wasn't just something that was, just like templated, like, oh, it's just like a templated screensaver, something. Like, it really felt like it was like customized for the song, for the vibe, and just the whole production felt like, just like it was dialed in, and had been getting dialed in. So it was definitely impacting the experience for everybody in a very, very positive way.
Fuck
Like,
yeah, that is so good to
good.
hear.
We're such Drew fans over here. He is a big fan of the pod. And he has messaged us after almost every run, kind of giving us his thoughts on where this whole process is. And for those of you that don't have the privilege to do that, and to see kind of his real time thoughts about this guy cares a lot
Yeah,
about
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, he's
about what we're doing here. And he cares about it from more than just the lighting rig perspective. He cares about what we think and what the
Mhm.
fans are, how the fans are viewing it. He's very, very open to that feedback. And I think we've seen that in real time, how you haven't gotten the same lighting rig twice, and it's not necessarily quite in the same way that Tiberius was doing it for a while, where he
Yeah,
was
it's more of
just
trial and error than.
right, but
Yeah.
honest trial and error, and
Mhm.
and truly kind of just tweaking things until they are worthy of the reputation that this band carries in the lighting community. So to see all the positive feedback finally this weekend, it makes me really happy for him, because we're cheering for that guy, definitely.
It's a tough gig with a tough crowd,
Yeah.
but he knows how important of a job it is. So it is cool to see how much he cares for sure. And then we get into a 2012, right? Where again we have started this set with Glass, which is on Human Dream, When the Dust Settles reprise, obviously on the When the Dust Settles EP, Sun, Moon, and Stars, TUI. 2012, not on an album yet. They have liked this song recently. Thoughts, guys? I don't know. Could we see this at some point on the Human Dream?
Why not? I mean, we've talked about the potential of songs from that era ending up on there. I my bad. I don't see why not. Obviously, that would there'd be some things to figure out there. I'm sure they would have those figured out, but it feels like a song that stylistically belongs on a project like this.
Yeah, I always kind of group 2012 March and Mod sort of
Simulator.
like, yeah, so like sort of all, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Like, I think they all came out around the same time. I don't know if any of them were on, EPs or albums. I guess maybe some. I don't know if they were.
I don't know if any of those
Any
four
of them
are.
were, right? Yeah. So
Yes. So we'll see. There's so much on the table since the When the Dust Settles EP that they played a lot before the TUI came out, where who
right.
knows where some of those songs end up. And then we get it. It's all right, which I mean, this is just dance floor napalm at this point. And I really dig the tone of it. And then we get back into what we know for sure is on the Human Dream with Peachtree. And Daniel, obviously a little bit of manifestation here. Bro, that mashup, Peachtree with Lifestyle, holy fucking shit. I know as soon as Peachtree came out, me and you had a text thread. We were like, bro, I'm hearing so many ideas of like of mashups and everything like that. So let's hit on that first. How do we land on lifestyle and how do we get to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I mean, I think you texted me within like a few minutes of, of Peachtree, being dropped on the album. It's like, all right. I love Peachtree. I think it's like the perfect example of how like old jaded, Tribe fans can be huge fans of the new stuff, and this was definitely one of them. And I wanted to make sure that I really did it justice. And I had been going through different iterations of it, sharing some with Ashley. She's like, I'm not really feeling that one, trying to kick it around some ideas. And I knew I really wanted to mash it up with something from an Atlanta rapper, so I was trying to be particular about the rapper that I was mashing up with it. But yeah, Lifestyle was one of the ones that hadn't really stood out to me just from kind of looking at the track list. I had to actually go through and play it, and
Right. Until you hear it,
and
right?
then
You're like,
and then it
fuck
hit, and I
yeah.
was like, oh, and I went like running downstairs. I was like, Ashley, oh my God, I think I found it. Like it had been weeks and weeks of me like trying to just going through trying to make something work, but it finally landed. And shouts to you and Scotty for hitting me with a little feedback at the beginning to see a little extra oomph I needed to feel good about putting it out there.
I
So yeah,
mean,
it felt good.
Thugs in my top 10 from Atlanta all time.
Oh
And
yeah.
anyone that wants to have a conversation about that otherwise can fuck right off. I that guy is as influential as they come in that city, and I feel like he's still, for all the credit he gets, he's still very underappreciated in certain circles of hip hop conversation. And seeing that be your choice, it just made my little Atlanta heart so happy. I couldn't even tell you, man.
We'll talk more about the after party after the show recaps, but did you get a
Yeah, yeah.
chance to drop that on Saturday?
I sure did, yeah, and I
Yeah.
got a little part two in there that I actually hadn't shared with anybody, and I dropped for the first time. So, Lifestyles Part One, second
Ooh.
half of Peachtree has a little part two. So, a
Fuck
couple
yeah.
people noticed it, came up to me and said something to me about it afterwards. They were like, "We're expecting the Lifestyle, but part two, we weren't expecting that." So,
Fuck yeah. Well, Peachtree, obviously, and then I felt like I'll kind of give you the mic on this one, Daniel, in terms of where this next song came from and everything like that. So a really fun segue here. Talk us through it.
yeah, absolutely. I think I don't know if everybody felt this way, but certainly my mindset was that everything that's getting dropped in this second set is going to be newer.
Mm.
So as soon as you heard the cowbells ringing, I turned to a couple of people. I'm like, no, 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 there's no way.
They're
And
doing this again, right? It's like you think back to like Peachtree Ramon the first time we
yep,
heard it, where it's like, what the fuck?
exactly.
And now Peachtree Monkey, which, like you said, I mean, this set all the way up to this point had been 2011 and beyond in terms of release date, and then they hit you with that monkey music. So very
Yeah.
jealous. I saw that on the set list, and I was like, God damn! I know Daniel was getting the fuck down for
You know
that.
it. Absolutely.
Do we think that this is the way that these artifact human dream shows are gonna stay in this format, or do we think that they're gonna get looser? And because even by the end of night two, you've got the Try Knock Encore, and so you've got artifact songs wandering outside of that first set. To your
Hmm.
point, Daniel, you've not an artifact song per se, but you've got a monkey music Peachtree. I mean, I wonder if these things evolve, or if they kind of remain in this format of like artifact first set, second set is mostly human dream with a couple of older songs mixed in there. I don't know.
Well, the only other two shows that are billed as this are the LA shows, right?
Right.
Which I think that is geographically strategic, right? Like, right, they want to give the East Coast and Southeast some love, and they were going to give people an opportunity on the West Coast to see this kind of thing, right? So you could have that thought where it's going to be like, okay, Red Rocks and then Knoxville kind of being the same thing because it's kind of the same thing
Sure.
geographically, right?
Yeah.
But like you say, some of the interplay they had with the encore on night 2, what I'd hope is that the second time around it'd be a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Or even if you flip where we start with new shit and end with Artifact
Right.
set by set. But I'd like to see some segues between the two songs for sure. Daniel, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope that they, are that we're not seeing repeats. I don't think that would be the case. Like it's with the artifact sets and the
Yeah.
way they're doing the artifact sets. But I was thinking back to Artifact Night, and I actually don't know if they did this in Knoxville, but they encored with a couple songs that they said were like close calls.
Yeah, like at
No,
Red
it was-
Rocks, they did
it was like
Breathe In and
Breathe
Real
In
and Imagine.
Yep.
Yeah. So like,
And then
like little things
Knoxville
like that.
was We'll Meet in Our Dreams, I think, right?
Mm.
Yep. So sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
Yeah, honestly, just little things like that, little additions like that could be
Sure.
cool and like sort of unpredictable.
Mhm.
But
Well, fuck yeah. I mean, you get back into the Human Dream Project with Walk the Sky here, and another song from the new project that got goated here with a brand new section that I'm sure swept quite a few people off their feet here. To infinity and beyond, motherfucker. Holy
I was just about to say, just like that, Year Infinity is a 10-minute song.
did not
I
take
mean,
long.
No, dude, these things are growing at a concerningly fast rate, actually.
I will tell you what, I'm waiting. I'm probably anticipating most the more than 5 minute Peachtree to see where that goes. But that synth line, the is like really quickly becoming just like stuck in my fucking head all the time.
It's kind of, it's a little Inspire Strikes Back Part 2-ish.
Yes, that way they were playing it for sure. I've made comparisons to the spectacle a little bit, but that is more kind of with that open like Hunter Brown strum. But yeah, I mean, boots on the ground, Daniel. When we're hearing this, we're probably expecting another 6 minute version, right? And then we get into a modular jam.
Yeah.
Did we
Yeah.
achieve liftoff in the crowd?
Oh, 100%. I mean, talk about to infinity and beyond. Like, it definitely feels like, Ashley had a little crew she was dancing with, and they all like had their arms up in the air. It was, people were getting it. It was great. And at this point, it had started raining, and so everybody was wet. And like, you kind of feel as like,
yeah.
you kind of feel as the end of the show anyway. Everybody was super hot, and so everybody was just like, whatever, like super wet. Nobody really cared. But yeah, I mean, I thought that like the new ending, it comes across to me as like a little cheesy, but in that moment,
Sure.
like it was awesome, and like everybody was getting down, and like that song definitely has got legs for sure. But I do hear the Inspire and like a little spectacle in there. Like I definitely hear that.
It's growing legs, but certainly with this one, it grew a little bit of hair on his chest for sure. It got primal, and what we hear with a lot of these new songs when they extend them with these modular jams is like they don't necessarily finish them, right? But first modular jam of Year Infinity, they come back to it and they finish it, which is something that I thought was very becoming of the song. And you can tell that they've been fucking around with it in the studio quite a bit and getting comfortable with it. So that ends set 2, and I think is a really interesting encore choice. I think they've made it tough on this encore choice with the other encore choices they've been making recently. A pretty standard Menacer, which Scotty, I know you've had some thoughts on this possibly being on the album, and I like the song in itself, but I don't love it in this slot.
I don't either. But I think the reason you see it in this slot is because it's probably the next song that drops off of this album. I mean, the placement of it amongst all these other Human Dream songs. This song is coming. We're getting a studio version of it. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, that you could, you could have done the 2012 as an encore and have the Menacer be right there in between the Sun, Moon, and Stars, and It's All Right. And I think the whole set lands better. Not to say that this set doesn't land; it lands very well. But I agree. I think there have been better encores. Menacer's a party. I can't wait to hear the studio version of it, and I think there's probably a little foreshadowing there.
For sure, make it make sense a little bit, right?
Yeah. I think so.
How was it received live, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, I was confused. This makes a little more sense this way, but I think that was probably the most questionable song that they had picked for the placement there. And I would say that I've definitely left shows before where the encore like more or less kind of ruined the vibe. I don't think that was the case in this show.
No,
people were like,
I don't think.
No, that
Yeah.
like. I wish they, there could have been. There's a lot of other options that were on the table, right? But it wasn't enough to be like, oh, I can't believe we, are leaving on that note. It wasn't quite like that.
Yeah, it's not Presence of Light at Red Rocks 2019. Where like I don't think Menacer is capable of like killing the vibe, right? I mean, it's a fucking party. It's a fun song, but afterwards you're probably like, once you're kind of looking at the set list, you're probably like, what are you thinking with this one, right? But hey, they fucking know better than we do, but we're here to talk about what we think. But so Daniel, there was a lot fucking going on in Asheville musically this weekend. So what were people getting into after the show?
Yeah. So after the show, there was a couple after parties. Rohan was doing Rohan solo at the Third Room, and then immediately afterwards was Mike Healy's side project, Healy Side, where Rohan also sat in on percussion with them. That was
Mike
amazing.
Healy is Asheville based too, right? He's the drummer of Papadosia. He's a fucking
Correct.
beast.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
that
Yep.
makes sense.
And then there was another event that was going on at the Asheville Music Hall on the One Stop that had DJ Brownie and then also Domicile. I wasn't able to make it over there, but from what I hear, Domicile crushed it, and everybody just had the best things to say about Domicile in that show. So yeah, there was quite a few things to choose from that night.
Domicile, big fans of STS9, listeners to the podcast as well, and they've been playing a lot of STS9. I know they have a good cover of Rent, and then they played a bunch of STS9 teases at this show. So yes, they covered Tap In, they covered Moonsocket, they covered Sky High, and quite a bit of improv and a Rent as well to finish the show. Robot rock into Rent. So if anybody's looking for a new up and coming jam band, Domicile, Domocile, you can find them on Instagram. Sounds like they're turning quite a bit of heads, and they're STS9 old heads themselves as well. So really cool to see that. Well, let's get into night two. Obviously, we get Emancipator, but it's starting off with a little bit of rain to start, and that's kind of setting the vibe. Is it raining by the time STS9 starts the second night?
Yeah, it basically rained the whole night.
Okay, but
But this time everybody was prepared, so I think like most people like had ponchos, had rain.
Yeah.
I know there was there was kind of a grab of ponchos at our Airbnb, so like people I think were more prepared for it this time. So I think like people showed up with like the necessary gear to just be in it for for the night.
Fuck yeah. So they hit you with the Forest You opener, which I'm a huge fan of, whether it's first set or second set. It's a great vibe setter. So we know at this point that most likely we're gonna get the same structure of the show as the night before. Before we get into this set, guys, I had a lot more bones to pick with the way this set was played, the Artifact set, than the previous night. I thought that you saw a little bit less experimentation. I mean, you get this Glowgly in the second slot that has a pretty cool modular jam, but it's basically the same modular jam we saw from the Glowgly in Nashville. Not a whole lot of differentiation there. We get the first interlude on the of the night from Artifact, which that was another thing I would like to see a little bit more of. I think incorporating a musical story, yes, incorporating a eight and an extra first mist over Clear Lake. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of that. So it's cool to get the Artifact into Native End reemergence. Native End reemergence. Let's spend some time there. I thought there was some sloppy play, but like some really cool work with the tones from Phipps. I don't know if you had some notes on this, Daniel, from this particular portion of the show.
Yep, I thought that Alana really stood out during this reemergence too. Like it sounded like her bass lines, bass tones were really hitting there, and yeah, I kind of just gush about reemergence every time they play it because I do feel like it is like the perfect Sector 9 song.
Yeah,
because like
it's one of
every
those for
band
sure.
member
Yep.
like has its own like kind of like distinct like style and like the way that they play, but then the way that they all play it together, that it creates this like one sound, so I kind of gush about reemergence every time they play it and just talking about how it's the perfect song. So I'm a little bit biased with that, but
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't you know, necessarily like a standout version.
No, I think of the standout version. I think of that first set tabby New Year's Eve
Yep.
2019. That
100%. Yep,
reemergence.
that's
Oh
exactly
my
where I
God.
go. That's exactly where I go. That exact one.
That one's like 14 minutes or something like that, and just like
Yep.
just keeps going. But yeah, like tightly executed in some points for sure. I thought that Hunter and Alana were pretty locked in during that kind of dual lead portion of Native End and Reemergence. But I would agree with you, man. And no one's ever going to complain with it, and especially when you get a Native End to kick off the Reemergence too. And then a Music Us, 7+ minutes. And then something, I think, probably the highlight of this
was gonna
first
say.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scotty, you get a chance to bump these on your bump this one on your speaker system
I
in your car.
I did, and it did not disappoint. I mean, I see what you're saying, man. I on one hand, you get a fucking Forest U globally artifact native and reemergence music us and some sing. So shut the fuck up, I guess. But
Yes,
you
definitely.
know,
No, no.
I know,
Listen,
but I see what you're saying here,
I'm
dude.
here
Like
to
we are
fluff all the time, bro.
right,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right.
Like, and
But
it's
at
not
the
even
same
fluffing.
time,
I'm here to say facts for sure.
yes, I think it is reasonable to expect, if nothing else, that Tonight the Ocean Swallowed the Moon in here.
People's Part 2.
People's Part Two. Like there is a way to get this through the 1 hour mark.
Yep.
And I
And I think
think
it clocked in at less than 55 minutes.
yeah, I think it's 53 minutes is the total. Which you know, if that's what they got, if that's what the time constraints allow, I get it. But as far as could this have had just a little bit more beef on it, and it mattered exponentially more in the way that people look at this set? Yeah, one more song I think does it. Whether it's that try knock that obviously comes back around on the encore.
That's what would have me really thinking at set list or at set break. Like, man, there's some stuff left on the bone here.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I don't think it would have. I think, like you said, one more interlude. I think if this show opens up with the musical story, yes, this set list looks
Well, then it's kind of like a hat on a hat with the opener. Like, it's tough to like
sure.
play anything before a few force you, right?
Right. But like to your point, I just don't think it takes much for people to be looking at this set a little bit differently.
Does it flow incredibly well? Yes.
Of course it does.
Again, the interplay between like where these songs are on the album as opposed to how they're playing it. Forest Hue, 12th song on the album. Globally, 9th song on the album. Artifact, 5th song on the album. Native End Reemergence, 6th and 7th song on the album. Something, 13th song on the album. Or before that, Music Us, 20th last song on the album, right?
Yeah.
That interplay is cool, and how they made this work with the flow of it, I think is the most redeeming quality of this set. Right.
This is what I thought the original Artifact Night was going to look like before it started. I thought it was going to be
Yes.
all the songs in a different order.
Mhm.
Hindsight being 2020, I think to play it front to back like that is about the coolest thing you could have done with it because it's so perfect in its existing form. But this is exactly what I thought Artifact Night was going to look like at Red Rock. So I'm all about this format. I think one more song makes this night better than the night previous to it.
Yep. Overall, your thoughts, Daniel?
I would say that being there, like in the crowd, as we're like getting towards, you know, the middle of this first set of the second night, you know, like we're all realizing like Native Ed reemergence, like where's that something? What you know, like we're all sort of like counting,
Start
you know,
looking
like
for
having
stuff.
conversations, like okay,
How many
like
slots are left?
where is
Yeah,
it at? Yeah,
Right.
and so there is like a certain element to that when like you know everybody's like chattering in a crowd and like boom, there it is, like there's the Native End reemergence, like there's the music, there's the something. So there is something that like you know it feels good, you know.
That's fun. Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
it doesn't get much more staple than that in terms of how that set lines up after the Artifact, where it's like Native End Reemergence, fucking sick drum and bass vibe. Music Us, sick, blissful, like powerful, emotional vibe, and then something like the absolute masterpiece of any STS9 like studio recording and
Yep.
bringing the heat and the oomph with the bass on that. I mean, Something has just been sounding spectacular. It's been insane what they've been doing with that song in the live format. So, um, guys, this second set was a fucking dance party. There's really no other way to put it.
Saturday night.
Yep. And they fucking came through here for sure. On paper, I think it looks a little all over the place, but like listening through, damn, does it work, right? And they're just like been really playful with these set lists, and they've been really thoughtfully written. And you get a few of the shorter type songs in here. You get some stuff that's super drawn out. You get this Searchlight, which we clipped the version from DC. Like, man, they're really figuring out kind of where they're going with this. This was one that was on the cutting floor as far as the clips that we had. Alana's fret tracks on this really shine through. Hunter's getting really confident at the end of it, and he's getting just really comfortable with just like the different, like almost proggy scales he uses with this song, and it's becoming really wonderfully layered. Click Clang Echo has been stealing people's hearts around the country for almost 10 years now. And where that song has gone has been great. That's another one, guys. A lot of people think, like myself included, like would think that like, okay, Click Clang Echo, that's a Universe Inside song, right? Not the case, right? They've been crushing
you're
this
right.
song. We could see this on the Human Dream too. And my given hot take of the night is actually our next clip. I think the coolest thing they could fucking do is hit us with a studio recording of this one.
One time at Red Rocks, I saw somebody dance like Frankenstein to this song, and
I saw you both hit that. Yeah.
It might have been me and Ashley. That's our
were you with
that's our monster mash.
were you with the Beals?
Mm,
It was somebody with the Beals. I truly don't remember who it was. It could have been y'all. I know we didn't have an active friendship at that point, but yeah, that's the move I always hit, is that Frankenstein dance. It's somebody said it sounds like that moment where Dr. Frankenstein gives the monster life.
yeah,
I was like, oh
100%.
fuck yeah, I'm
Yeah.
never gonna forget that.
So what do you guys think? What do you think? Rent on Human Dreams would be fucking hilarious. It would be fucking epic. Rent has no semblance of a studio treatment. I kind of liken it to like, okay, like for any Humphreys fans out there, the album Similar Skin, which I thought was great, released in like 2013. They throw a Bridgeless on there, which they had been playing for like 10 or 15 years. And Bridgeless, I feel like, is the Humphreys version of Rent, where it's just like so epic structurally, and like to hear it get the studio treatment, and like I think it fits in these group of songs. And I think that speaks to how well these group of new songs fit with the rest of the catalog. But like, am I out of pocket?
I don't think so. I'm interested to hear Daniel's perspective before I give mine.
I'm not certain.
You hate
I mean-
the idea. I can see it in your eyes.
I think
I know it's a hot
think
take.
you'd be you'd be digging pretty deep for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe save the new album for like the newer stuff, but
Okay.
I can understand.
Yeah.
I can understand like, yeah, if you've got something that's like a crowd favorite and something that like everybody loves to get down to, why not?
I think it'd be a hilarious move. I think it would be well received.
Yeah.
And I think it would be kind of like, it wouldn't be out of character. I don't think they like
Yeah.
to play around with us a little bit, you know.
I think my only response to that is, if they were to do that, I could see them doing it with other songs first. Namely Only Light Remains.
Okay.
Or something
Vapors.
like that. Vapors. Something that Rent, there's the best Rents have been Alana Rents, but
Yes.
but however, there are songs that Alana had a heavier hand on the pen side of things.
Sure. No,
So
I
Vapors is another great example of one where, arguably the best part of that song belongs to Alana after she came in.
Yeah.
So to do something like that would feel a little bit more true to form, I think.
let me ask you this: what year do you think of when you think of Rent?
2015.
Yes. And Daniel, would you agree?
Mm, I can see why.
Yeah. I think that this song is in the live catalog, is part of like their live catalog where like 2015 never left in terms of the vibe, right?
Yeah, okay.
Like where that jam goes, where like it like kind of cuts out to like just kind of the percussion going, and then like like Alana and Hunter kind of figure it out from there, and like Hunter hits you with like a sick like Niles Rodgers-esque fucking riff or something like that. um that's where I kind of hear it, and like that's why I think of Alana when I think this song, right? But like, okay, I'm not gonna be disappointed if I don't hear it on the album at all. I think it's like it's a funny thing that it's technically.
Yeah, no, I don't hate the idea. And I actually love the idea of this happening with a song from the catalog that's been around for a long time. Why not, Ren, I guess. Then we get into Life's a Symphony, which honestly, if we haven't played it was on the cutting room floor of every episode since this song has really started being played. Yet to see one in person. Daniel, was this your first one live, or they play? You saw a couple of them up in in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in Nashville too.
in Nashville with Maureen. Yeah.
Yeah. So we know what this song does already. You know, we're it's gonna have to be a really really standout one to make it on at this point, just because we have talked about it so much. But this is one that we reasonably could have played as well. This is a huge song once again.
I think it was goated. This one, I thought this one was like a really cool combination of the version we heard in Bellingham and then that nasty version we heard in Seattle, where like you get almost that like percussive organ synth from Phipps, and then like Hunter Brown at the end of this one. Holy shit! And I'm gonna bounce this off you guys. I think the final form of this suite we're gonna see, we see them bring it into Like I Do for the first time, which is a pretty buttery seg, right? I think the final form of this, it's all right, kind of sweet is Life's a Symphony in Unity, It's All Right, into Like I Do, into It's All Right. And I think we're starting to see a suite being built before our eyes with that. So your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah. We don't see that it's all right this time around, but I mean, all of these songs make sense together. Like I Do as almost completely changed from the original version that we saw of it on Rave Spell. Probably an album cut as well, I would imagine. And so yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna see a studio version of Like I Do. Um, Probably won't see one for It's All Right. But yeah, in a live setting, these three do feel like kind of the Three Musketeers together.
Yeah, I thought these particular versions were incredible. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the Life's a Symphony. I mean, the place was just madness throughout that, and like Zach at the end was just a total monster. And Like I Do is one of those songs that, you know, it's taken a while to grow on me too, but I definitely think that that's one too that yeah, some of these recent ones, like the second half of this one, like Phipps had some really like sexy tones in there too, and it can just go a lot of places. So yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah, I mean, like this collection of three songs, Rent, Life's a Symphony, and the Like I Do. The you could hear the energy coming off the soundboards, and I like you said, I could only imagine the place was absolutely up for grabs during this section.
After Click too, which
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, right.
it doesn't matter how you started off at Click. At the end of Click, everybody is going nuts, you know.
Yep.
So like between that Rent and Symphony was just yeah.
They don't really give you any opportunity to breathe this entire set. Honestly, like there's no point where you're like, oh, okay, this one I can slow down a little bit. It is down
Portal,
to the shaky.
Portal,
Sorry.
I guess a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, Portal. I
Yeah.
guess yeah, Portal's a bit
But
of a vibe check.
you're still like in the like Strange Games slows down a little bit from the madness that is like the four on the floor, just like high energy. So yeah, Strange Games into Portal, I think that's where you can kind of catch your breath a little bit, but you're certainly not going to get a beer or going to the bathroom. Like, I really liked Strange Games into Portal. I thought that was super smooth. And
Yeah, but
Mhm.
I am really like I can do without a under 5 minute Strange Games. Like let's party, dude, or let's do something else in that position. I like Strange Games into Portal, but I look forward to the show where this is a 20-minute seg instead of a barely 9 minute.
It
Segment.
would be a really Portal would be a really cool way to kind of come down from one of those epic like Strange Games modular jams for
Right,
sure. I
right.
see that.
Give
for
me
sure.
a Strange Game modular into jammed out Portal. Make the Strange Game 10 minutes and the Portal 9 minutes, and smack me on the ass and send me home happy.
That's the wackiest, strangest Portal I've ever heard of for sure. Neither of us have seen Portal live, Daniel, and you've
Mm.
gotten a chance to see it a few times now. How does it hit live?
It's definitely a vibe change depending on the placement. Like I think I think they opened with it the last night of Seattle. It was like something they played very early on. I feel like one of those nights, but um yeah, I think it's one of those where a lot of people are like, what is this? Like I definitely think that it's like it's hitting for the first time. People are like, wait a minute, I recognize this, but I don't really know what it is. And so people aren't
Uh-huh.
totally certain how to react to it. So I'd say there was some of that going on for sure.
I feel that. I feel that in terms of it's kind of finding its way. It's kind of finding its way in terms of its placement in a set, right? But coming out of Strange Games, I think helps a little bit for sure.
Song is such a fucking vibe. Like once the final form of this song is going to turn a lot of people into STS9 fans. I really believe that.
I can hear that as well for sure. It's going to grab people the way that some of those other songs grab people, right? Where it just strikes a nerve with you, where it kind of is almost like a alt rocky kind of vibe, like so I could definitely see it pulling in some new heads for sure. Then we get some interplanetary escape vehicle, which is a nice little treat, and that is our second to last clip here of the night. Mm. Angry, angry Phipps, angry Steezy Hunter, like bouncy, playful. Ugh, man, that would have got me fucking going if I was there.
So I read a book one time, and it there was this section where it talked about how basically like if you move to a community of people that are nothing like you, eventually you will start behaving like these people, even if you have nothing in common with them. And for some reason, that fact popped up when I was listening to that Hubble, because this Hubble almost doesn't make sense amongst this set. I mean, this is a very
Oh no, it doesn't fit into the theme. No, like
yeah,
by nature, yeah.
but it's a very dance heavy set. It's a very four on the floor type, bubbly, bouncy type set, and then this Hubble almost takes on that form of much more high energy dance party than you normally associate it being.
Yep. It was
And
a 2018, 2019 type Hubble
yeah,
for
it
sure.
just kind of assumes the form of being one of the biggest dance tracks of the night, even though on paper it's definitely not.
Yeah, I was definitely in the back of the venue spinning around. For sure. So I can vouch for that. Yeah, the back of the venue was going nuts for this one for sure.
Yeah, you need a little extra room to swing those arms
Uh-huh.
around for this one, man. Yeah, I know 2019 is one of your favorite years, Scotty. This one just kind of brought me back to the mode the band was in, like the Wave Spell year 2 or something like that. That's kind of where it
Yeah.
brought me for sure. And then to end the second set, Scotty, I'll let you talk about how you feel about
I love shaky. How did I become the shaky ground hater?
because you talked about the fact that it's useless at the end of a set like
I
this
no.
one. Like...
First of all, good lord, dude, watch your mouth. I did not. Useless never came out of my mouth.
Unnecessary. Sorry, unnecessary.
Unnecessary was what I
Unnecessary.
said.
My bad. My bad. My bad.
And I've said that about looking back on Earth at a show that we were at together before. It doesn't mean I don't think looking back on Earth has its place.
No. I'm talking about the specific placement here. I think it's funny that we just saw it again.
Of course, it's a show closer. I think that's where it belongs.
Mhm.
And in this set, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, I think coming off Hubble, it's a good juxtaposition for sure. I think
Yeah.
coming off the instantly, where it instantly kind of has that same vibe that we saw in Seattle,
Yes.
where it's like kind of sensory overload back to like again in the best way, back to back sensory overload. I think the shaky ground, um, in terms of the placement of it, the same, but the like actual vehicle they used it as was the execution worked a little bit better coming off the Hubble.
Yeah. Oh, you made me feel so nuts. I went back and looked at the set that I had a problem with it at the end. Sky High, Oil and Water, Mischief of a Sleepwalker, End of Year Infinity, Ramon instantly. Stop. Stop. You're done. Like, walk it off. Make that shaky ground even the encore, but it doesn't need to be a part of that set. As a part of fucking Searchlight, Click Lang Echo, and the Rent Symphony, it's all right. Sorry, yeah, Life Symphony and Unity, it's all right. Into Like I Do, Strange Games in the Portal, Hubble, Shaky Ground. Mwah! Like,
Yeah. No,
perfect.
I was coming here to say like, hey, what do you think about this one? Right?
I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of it. I think most of the time, Shaky Ground belongs exactly where it is at the end of that second set. And I could not agree with the placement more of it in this particular one. Daniel, again, obviously not your first, not your third Shaky Ground.
But the first time it's graced its presence in the great state of North Carolina. And
Yeah,
it kind of
this
gives
is true.
you, North Carolina, come on and raise up energy.
it is kind of Petey
Like-
Pablo-esque.
Petey Pablo-esque.
How was it received?
I think this was one of the songs that, I was having conversations at step break. We're like, all right, so what do you think was coming second half? It's like shaky ground, we kind of felt it was
Yeah.
coming, but I agree. I mean, this second night was just all high energy, and I thought that it was just a good way to shut down the second set.
Yep. And then, I mean, I don't think you could have drawn up a better encore, and that brings us to our final clip of the night here. Just absolute fucking madness. There it is. How long have they been fucking able to do that? Like,
I mean, I don't think you have the trinocular stats pulled up, but I do.
I had it. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Go
Okay,
ahead. Go ahead.
so the longest version of this song before this weekend was in 2004. And it gets dwarfed by almost 2 minutes by this version. It was 7:41. And just what the fuck? How long, like you say, how long have they been working on this? The new sections. I mean, this
New
gives
section. They doubled the length of it.
yeah, I mean this is a different song almost.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so impressed the first time I heard this, and hearing it again. I mean, if this is the way this song sounds from now on, hopefully it stays in rotation. This
Nah,
is
Daniel wants to
different.
gatekeep it.
I hope
Put
they,
it
I hope
back
they
on the
keep it
shelf.
rare.
2.5 years.
This one had been since the Ogden, so it had been a little bit over a year.
right.
But yeah, I mean the feeling when you hear them starting the encore with it. I mean, like, had you given up on Trynock at this point?
No, I mean, like after shaky ground, I was even turned to my buddy and was like, they still have one chance to play Trynock, you know. So
And then they hit it. Yes.
we're both like, oh. It
But
was
then, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
well. I mean, obviously, it was great to hear those notes, but to kind of think about like, all right, what are they going to do if it's standalone, and then this is what they do when it's standalone. It was. Yeah, definitely not what I was expecting. I mean, they just absolutely knocked this one out of the park. It was
I mean,
really, really special.
achieved liftoff, and to hear that the energy and intention they put into this song, which they know is one of those out there where like people are waiting all weekend, like, all right, are we gonna hear try? It's kind of like it's up there with today, right? But what they've done with it, and like even just like the structured version, the execution of it, like the Hunter tones on like the like that like open note he plays, and then they take it into that second section. It almost sounds like Hunter's playing Jessica. Do you hear that? Like Allman Brothers song, like the
Oh,
da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. Those three notes, like the
yeah.
da-na-na-na. I heard it for the first time. I was like, are they about to play fucking Jessica? But then they just get into that just like absolute fucking sober bliss fest where it's put your hands on the top of your head and hug whoever's next to you and dole out the best high fives you can. Um, Holy shit, that's gonna go down as one of the coolest things that happens all year, and hope for it to happen again. But if it doesn't, it makes that moment that much more special. So I understand that. But feelings walking out of the venue night two, because I mean, shit. After that, you had to get to work, right?
Yeah, well, I actually was like working my way towards the back of the venue, and I was with a buddy, and sort of the rest of the crew was closer up front, but I sort of needed to have one foot out the door to get to the after party. So,
Mhm.
but as soon as they actually dropped the Trinock, I had to stay for it. So I was just sort of in the back of the venue, just taking it all in. And then as soon as that last note played, I had to kind of power walk it up to the to the after party venue. But I mean, it was just yeah, pure bliss. Just an awesome run. It's awesome execution. I mean, obviously the encore was just absolutely nailed it. So I think that not just myself, but everybody that I was with throughout the weekend, especially that night, I think everybody left on cloud nine for sure.
Fuck yeah. Well, let's talk about the after party, man. It seemed like was this the biggest crowd that you played for?
Yep, for sure.
I look how cool you look. What the fuck? Like, holy
It's a
shit.
really good photographer.
Yeah. Some great shots here. This crowd, holy shit. Fuck yeah.
Let's
A
go,
lot of
Jamie.
A lot of the
Let's
homies
go.
in there. Look, I mean, look at this. You get a family photo like this.
Look
Like,
at Brooke. There she is. There she
first,
is.
let's
Look at Gina.
let's talk about the shirt. Holy shit! Fuck yes, dude. The Michael
Yes,
Jordan.
sir. That was a fresh cop from the Nike employee store in Portland while we were
Fuck
out
yeah.
there. So that was a freshie. Had to rock that for the home state, Tar Heel State.
And
Yeah,
man, some pretty sick production here, huh?
yeah. Once we knew we booked this venue, it's the third room in Asheville. They've got 360-degree projection mapping and super cool visuals, and I'm not certain how they were able to do this, if it was live or AI or what, but they were totally like matching the background to what I was playing, and it was just like very, very dialed in. Yeah, and so I was like, well, we gotta make sure we get a real professional photographer out there to capture all this and make sure it's documented. But yeah, no, I cannot thank the Sector 9 community enough, because they were out there to support me. They were out there to support Hive Mind, because Hive Mind, they were the ones they were headlining. So the curfew was 10 o'clock. It was a 10-minute walk to the venue. My set was 10:15 to 11:15, so I was able to go for an hour, and then Hive Mind played for 2 hours after that, and the squad stayed deep, rolled deep. There's a ton of people there for Hive Mind. It was Rohan's last performance performing with Hive Mind. So shout out to Rohan and Dan and Dave Dalla and Dave McSweeney and those guys for putting me on. But yeah, it was definitely very well attended. People seemed to have a really great time, and I was able to throw in a couple of my Sector 9 mashups in there that landed really well with everybody. And actually another thing that just like really just made my night too was that Ilya from Emancipator showed up, and Doug. They both showed up to the after party and
Fuck
we're kicking it.
yes.
So it was cool to show them some love and make sure they get the respect that they deserve for all that they do too. So
Well, dude, no one's more deserving. You've been working your butt off and been, super dedicated to your craft. So I got goosebumps looking at those pictures and hearing about how the night went and everything like that. And super proud of you and happy for you, and very well deserved. I'm sure that was quite the way to cap off a pretty epic 2 nights of music in the home state, right? So,
yeah, most definitely.
Scotty, any final thoughts?
No final thoughts. Just excited to see where the second half of the year takes us, man. We've got these first Artifact Human Dream shows under our belt. Seem to be marching soundly towards the release of the Human Dream at some point real soon. Got St. Louis coming up. Got the Wisconsin shows coming up. Got Dylan coming up. Got some really cool interviews on the Podpodular side of things coming up. So, just excited for the trajectory that we're on. D, thank you for joining us again, man. You are a very reliable guest. We always know that we're gonna have a good episode when you come on, and just thank you for playing a different role this time around and being our boots on the ground. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Thanks for having me back around again.
Absolutely, buddy. And again, thank you from me as well, and thanks for your time and your insight. Provided a lot of great perspective from being there. And again, congrats on a huge night for you for the after party in the second night. But thanks for watching and listening, guys. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Music, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, leave a comment or review if you're feeling nice. We'll be back next week to get you guys prepped for those upcoming St. Louis shows. But until
we get
then,
to go back to some pageant shows next week.
you're damn fucking right, Scotty. You're damn right. So much love, y'all. Have a good weekend.
Peace.